welcome to my YouTube channel Discussion with Sadi. As this is a new YouTube channel and this is my first video, so at first I want to give a brief idea about what is this channel gonna be. So mainly I'm gonna talk about books, their reviews, and my thoughts and the philosophies behind all those books. And also I'm gonna talk a bit about international conceptual theories, international geopolitical theories, and as also I'm a bit of musician myself, I'm going to talk a bit about music theories. So let's skip that part. And today I'm going to talk about a very favorite novel, or you can say a long story of mine that is written by Franz Kafka. And as you can see, this is the complete collection of Kafka's stories. But we are going to talk about only one long story, the most famous one, Metamorphosis. So, spoiler alert. So, first of all, we have to. I'm going to talk about a bit of the summary and then the stories behind that, theories behind that. So, Metamorphosis is about a story. Is about a person who is called Gregor Shamsa. He stands between the lower middle class group, and he is a wage earner and the only bread earner of his family, and his whole family is financially dependent on him. So one day he wakes up from sleep at the morning like usual, but nothing usual happens after that. He suddenly realized he cannot get out of the bed, and uh, he realized he became something completely inhuman, something like an insect like. But what the society has done to him, what pressure has done to him, he is not concerned about his appearance, he is not concerned about his becoming. He is concerned about how he will go to his work that day, but because he must earn, he must provide for his family. He's horrified, he cannot get out of his room, and his whole family is horrified. What is wrong with him? What's going on? And after 1.5 hours maybe, his boss comes to meet him. What has happened to him? And suddenly they get a view of him, and everybody is horrified. Skip to that part. The whole family was very confused. The family was consisted of his father, his mother, and his sister. The whole family was very confused about what has become of him. At first, they were very compassionate. They were caring. They were treating him like a disease, a sick person who need to be treated and who will be all right eventually. But things started to go downhill. Things was not improving. In fact, the main character, Gregor Shamsa, starting to behave more inhuman like he refused to eat his favorite food that he used to like, because he didn't find any taste in there. He started to eat rotten foods. He started to live under his bed. He started to live in the darkness. He started to climb on the wall, and everybody was horrified. Although his family loved him at that point, but they were horrified. They could not accept what has become of him. They could not accept the change. And he was confined in that room. He was not allowed to get out of the room. But he wanted social acceptance. He wanted his family, his loved one, to accept the change, to adapt with this new situation. But he could not. He was changing, everybody was changing. And one day he came out of the room. He wanted his family to actually see him as he was in that situation, as he were in that situation, not to hanging on to the ghost of the past, the present situation. But they were horrified. Their mother panicked, the sister panicked, and his father got angry and threw an apple. An apple got stuck in his skeleton, the skeletal skin of his, and his leg broke. He was devastated. He could not move anymore. He went back to his room. He stopped eating altogether. He stopped talking to people altogether, and that stuck apple started to rot in his skin, and all that was left for him was to slowly wait for death. And one day he died, and his family took that very normally. They accepted it. Actually, they felt a sense of relief that he has died. He was an anomaly at the time. He was a complete anomaly. He was a burden. He was not serving any purpose, the purpose that he had previously held. So they adapted to the new situation. The whole family was once dependent financially on him, and they put so much pressure on him. But now they don't needed him for any financial. They moved on. They adapted. So that was kind of the summary, a very dark one, I would say. But if I want, then let's talk about the philosophies behind it. So the term metamorphosis, what does this indicate? In the whole long story, there is a lots of change, lots of adaptation, lots of metamorphosis. One can be understood in the physical transformation is very open, very direct, but the underlying psychological change behind each character was very profound. Kafka slowly realized that his dignity was losing. He was losing his dignity as a human. He was losing his pride as a bread runner. He was losing his purpose, and he just crumbled. He crumbled from inside. He accepted it. His family lose faith in him, and his family slowly adapted to the growing change. As we all know, people change, people adapt, people may feel pain, but that's not that's not for the whole life. That's for a certain period of time. And another deep aspect of the metamorphosis is the nihilism. Once the Gregor Shamsa understood that there was nothing for him in this world, he chose solitude to die. Nothing mattered to him anymore. He accepted his fate, that he is doomed. That kind of nihilism hits hard. And the structuralism, the societal acceptancy based on the materialistic goals were deeply rooted in his thoughts, in his family. And once he was unable to provide and sustain that goal, the whole structure fell upon him. So we can say that Kafka has touched a very dark philosophical aspect, the nihilism, the aspects of body horror and transformation, the human psyche on adaptability and transformation, and the structuralism and what it has done to our psyche, our feelings, and uh, how our relations, how our family, how everything is kind of transactional. Maybe on the surface level it is not, but on a deep rooted level, the horror of transactional relationship, that's what Kafka wanted to touch. So I would recommend this book to to the person who wants to think. This is actually uh, not a very light reading element. If you want to dive deep into the philosophy of Kafka, into nihilism, into the uh, structuralism and its fault, you should start by reading Metamorphosis. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed my video, and let's see you next time.